Alina, this book is something else. She's saying that the things that, that stand out to you, the things that you want to repeat and all of these things into your life. Listen, everything
stands out.
So I break it down into portions that I can manage.
This really was transformative.
Hi, good evening and welcome once again, Achievers. You know that is your name. Achievers, welcome to this evening's session. Because as we have been doing for the past 8 nights, tonight is night number 9, where Launchpad Consultancy, collaborating with VisionWorks Solutions, are bringing to you Book Club Conversations, Series 6. In this series, entrepreneurs and professionals are reading the book, The Uncommon Achiever, written by Mike Murdock. My name is Alina Lewis. I'm an author, business coach, and education consultant. And joining me this evening for discussion is Roll Rollox, Chanel Richards, and Simone Nickham. Hi, guys. How are you all?
Hello.
I am listen, this chapter, I think our term is 619. They hit my 619. Yes, this chapter was it. It had me saying, okay then. We're going in for a deep dive tonight on night number 9. So, Roll, you are at the top of my screen, so I'm volunteering you to share with us first. What stood out to you the most as you read chapter 9?
Well, I have to say that this chapter, good evening, everyone. I have to remember my manners. Good evening, fellow panelists. Good evening, all those that are listening in and those who will be listening in after. A pleasure always to be here sharing and talking and discovering, And this chapter was quite a journey, I have to say, because it's at the center of what I believe. And it's, I often, on the program, we talk about the work that we do. We talk about VisionWorks, which is the area in which I coach. That's the name of my business. And the very idea behind it, the whole idea that vision works, is what this chapter is about, focusing your energy into that future, into that vision, that thing that you're seeing. And sometimes it's not clear for all of us, but if we continue on that path, it will become clearer. And this is what this chapter encourages us to do. And so this was really something else. And I think Mike Murdock, he pulled out, we said something like this yesterday or the last time I was here, but he pulled out all the steps. Mike Murdock was prophetic in this one. He was preaching in this one. He ministered, and there's so much that I took so many things down verbatim from what he said. He says, become a tomorrow thinker, make your future so big that yesterday disappears. Powerful statements. God never consults your past to decide your future. God never reads your diary, act like it, talk like it, and live like it. And what stood out in particular was some declarations that he made. All right. And just for the folks who maybe would not have read it yet, he said a couple things. This is just a few of them. He said, you will not make the mistakes of yesterday again. You have more knowledge today than you ever had in your whole lifetime. You have learned from your pain. You have learned from your losses. Some powerful declarations throughout this entire chapter. So I think the declarations stood out from me, and I guess we will talk more as we move on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rod. Chanel, what about you? What would have stood out even as you would have been reading chapter 9?
Good evening, everyone. And for me, what would have stood out is to forget the past. And I think that's something difficult for many people to do, including myself, because I always believe that, in remembering the past, it guides you towards the future and making decisions of not repeating that mistake. So when he said let's forget about the past, let's think only of the future, be in that moment, to live in that moment, to live that truth. So that was important to me, and that was stood out to me the most.
Yeah, definitely. Simone, what about you?
Mike Murdock really he turned a corner with this chapter 9. This
Yeah.
was like Sunday lunch with dessert, different courses. It felt like to me the previous chapters we were taxiing down the runway in that plane. Chapter 9, we were airborne. From the beginning, the first sentence, become a tomorrow thinker. And that really, really struck home. It really hit home for me because it's part of what creating your own narrative is all about. You setting the coordinates, you setting the milestones, you setting where the goalpost is for you to do what you want to do. A tomorrow thinker, if you think about it, tomorrow ain't reached yet. And it's that's so much like our dreams, like our hopes. It isn't there yet. But if we think on it, oh my gosh, the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Simone. Even as I was reading chapter 9, I could tell you that it reminded me of conversations I have with so many parents when we do academic consultation. Because at first, by the time parents come in, it's because, there's some sort of academic learning challenge. They're encountering all these problems with their child, their son, their daughter. And by the time they come, they're overwhelmed, they're frustrated. And you have them sit in conversation and they start to tell you about everything that has been going wrong, everything that continues to go wrong. And they tell you the whole story. And a lot of times when you listen in on the conversation, when they speak of the future learning of the child, even the words that they use in that conversation is defeat based on the
Right.
past experiences. And it's always such an experience in consultation with parents for them to understand that, yes, we understand what the challenges of the past have been, but we're here now. We're about to make change now. So then, what
Yes.
is it that we're going to do now and moving forward to create impact so that the story of the past doesn't have to continue to be the story of the future? And you know something? Some parents are open to it and they make adjustments. And some parents, because they have been so bruised, they've been so disappointed, so overwhelmed, it is tough for them to let go. And even when they sort of kind of maybe try, you find what happens is that they go into it with skepticism. And they try, and they make little change and they go along with it. But then they're still looking at the process with skepticism because, what? I have been hurt, I've been disappointed in the past. I don't really want to put my heart and soul into it. And for me, my observation working in education is that when parents take this approach, they limit the impact they're able to have, the limit on the results they're able to see with their kids. Why am I talking about this? Because Mike Murdock also in the chapter talks about the importance of releasing the past, letting go of the past. But part of that is we can't want to optimize and look towards the future while still being afraid and being inhibited because we're nervous about what if it doesn't work and what if this and what if they say and what if I feel disappointed. No, that when we go into the writing of Mike Murdock shows us that just as the parents have to release the past and speak life into their children and then do the work, we too, us uncommon achievers with the uncommon dream, have to let go of whether we consider it failure, stepping stones, whatever we want to call it. We have to release and let go. So the question I want to ask my people here in virtual studio, I want to ask you, even as you consider the writings of Mike Murdock and how he reminded us of the importance of speaking life into the things that we have going on, into different areas, whether professional, business, personal, otherwise. What are 3 areas of your life you have been mindful to give priority and focus to? What are those areas of your life that when you sit and reflect, you recognize in order for you to be that uncommon achiever, you now have to look at these areas and give priority to making sure you're having that tomorrow mindset when approaching it? Simone, what are your three areas that would fall under that category? You're muted, Simone.
Sorry, I was saying my three areas. Um, Parenting. Parenting is a big one for me as a parent, and having two children in secondary school. Just yesterday, I was telling my son, who's in Form 4 and preparing for his SBAs, that you do the work now because it will determine your future. So if he focuses his energy now, he will be able to be ahead of the game. And it's one of my areas because it will take some energy on my part as a parent, like you said, to be able to guide him now. Secondly, I would say, as a person in the corporate world, I definitely need to focus my energy because we're going through some transitions right now. And it means that I need to be supporting the persons on my team in a number of different ways. I enjoy doing that. But because it's a different season, it would require a different level of energy and thought and focus. And the third area would be me personally, my personal life. You know, after you've been here a couple decades, well, I would say I'm on the U bend of life where you know things that you've been through, you've learned from them. I'm not going to make the same mistakes and I want to push forward with it. So that requires, focused energy as well to be able to manage that and get that done. So those are three areas for me.
Yeah. Roll, what about you?
Well, when I think about being future focused and throwing my energies there, I have to begin with prayer, as a believer in Christ. I believe that God is the reason why I'm here, all right? And He has the blueprint and He knows the future. And if I stay connected to Him and if I abide in Him, then my future is assured and He can open up the future to me, right? Because He can then trust me with that future. So a relationship with God, spending time with God, to me is essential to remaining future focused. All right? I think is where, for me, it begins. The second thing will have to be new experiences. I like to throw myself into new experiences. So you'll find that it may be a book, it may be something that I look at, it may be, well, now we can't be out and about as we would like to. But there are these different experiences. Not too long ago, I went with a very good friend of mine down to Mayaro to look at a dirt oven and get and taste the dirt oven bread and so forth. So all those new experiences say so much for me and to me and helps me to kind of, change the script a little bit, do something a little different. And all those things create new ideas for me. So I would say new experiences, I would say prayer. And thirdly, for me, I would say conversations. I think healthy conversations with persons who are out here making impact also help me to remain future focused. It helps encourage me. It helps inspire me when I hear their stories and I hear the things that they're doing, the challenges that they are having. And it's really amazing. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with an old schoolmate of mine. And it's amazing the work he's been doing. He's like a national treasure. And he has contributed so much to the country in the area of immigration law and so forth. It's just amazing, And coming out of that conversation, I was like, inspired to do what I am doing and to continue to look into the future. So I would say those three areas help me stay future focused.
Yeah, thank you. Chanel, what three areas are you mindful to give focus when developing that future thinking posture?
Well, for me, I will always start with spirituality to grow um, in God, with God all the time, and definitely being definitely that family life. So that is my second thing, my family, to making sure that I guide each one, being that wife, being that mother, to groom, to be there, to support, to build up, as well as my own strengths, but their strengths as well. And then I would think of my futuristic goals, things that I'll think up, from career to educating myself, learning, living life without regrets. So those are my 3 pointers of where I will see myself as a future thinker.
Yeah, I totally understand that because for me, I think about giving focus to discovery of self. And for me, when I think about discovery of self, automatically relationship with God and understanding that sense of purpose and passion comes into play for me because I believe everything, all that I am, is really a reflection of that, and everything I do is a reflection of that. The who I understand myself to be as it pertains to that God given potential, passion, purpose, and all of that. And so for me, it's really important for me to give focus and be intentional about discovering and rediscovering myself in that light so that I could continue to align and realign myself with what I understand my purpose to be connected with and what I understand to be my passion. Because even for me, what I understood 15 years ago is very different to what I understood 10 years ago, very different from what I understood 5 years ago, very different from now. It doesn't mean the core of it has changed, but it's also as though the revelation and understanding that comes with it, it gets refined and evolves. I definitely, that is so important. And then my role um, in my family and really being able to support my family, that is so important because I see that as one of the enriching parts of life. I'm not saying you can't be enriched in other areas, but it's such an intimate part of life when you think about your family relations, whether it's within your immediate home, extended family, otherwise. And these are the people who are so usually near and dear to your heart and pull on your heartstrings. So I'm very intentional about looking at those areas. And thirdly, I would call it the platforms. I wouldn't quite say my business, and I wouldn't say my career, because for me, everything that I do is a platform. The business is a platform because if you take my businesses away, I would still be me and I would still be doing exactly what I'm doing, just maybe on a smaller scale. So, really, what my businesses are platforms through which I engage purpose. And so, because I understand the role and the function of the platform, I want to speak into it and speak concerning it and give attention to understanding its evolution so that way I would be able to become and engage and to take part, and see it unfold. So that for me is really important. But guess what I want to get into, guys? I want to get into rapid fire. Da-da-dum. We have to get some sound effects for us here. Da-da-dum. And rapid fire is going to be all about declarations because, Launchpad Consultancy is collaborating with VisionWorks Solution, and VisionWorks launched its Vision Sunday last Sunday with a focus on affirmations. And it's not a one-time thing. Every Sunday, there is the podcast that is released on the VisionWorks Facebook page and the other social media platforms where you could get the podcast, you could listen to it over and over, you could listen to it every day. But I also know that not everyone is versed. For some people, affirmations and declarations are new and completely strange. So I want to do 2 rounds of rapid fire. And here's the rapid fire. I want you to think of any 2 areas, and this is me stalling to think while I'm talking it through too, eh? But I want you to think of any 2 areas of your life that you're intentional about seeing that growth. And I want you to share a declaration that you would speak over that as a way to encourage yourself. So I'm going to start first. I'm still talking because I'm still thinking, but I'm gonna start first because and we'll go myself, Chanel, Simone, Roll. And so my first declaration is everything I have is within me. And because I'm confident that I was born with seeds of greatness, I will stand up every day confident that I can handle every situation that comes my way. Let me see if I can remember what I just said. What did I just say? I just said that I believe that everything I need is in me. See, I believe that everything I need is in me. And because of that, and because I know I have seeds of greatness in me, I can handle everything that comes my way. And that's my round one. Chanel, what about you? What's your declaration?
Well, the first one a little bit easier because it's something that is something I taught my sons as well. And we basically say that we are the children of the King. We are destined for greatness. So, in a nutshell, we know that we are about to do and be world changers. So, that is my first one. Let me think the second
Yeah.
one.
Yes, Simone?
So my one is I was made for a great purpose by a great God. And I accomplished that by being disciplined, respectful, operating in integrity, compassion, and humility. Core values that I also, have chosen for my family and for my children so that it can guide us through this life.
Thank you. Roll?
Good. I heard a preacher once say that free people, free people. In other words, if you want to be in the business of helping others and freeing others from the challenges, you have to be free yourself. So my declaration is for freedom, you know? So I declare financial freedom, emotional freedom, mental freedom, and any other kind of freedom that I need so that I can help others impact their space as I impact mine. So that's financial freedom, um, freedom even in terms of health. You understand? And illness. All right? Freedom in every way so that I could impact the world.
Great. Round two. I am healed, I am whole, and every time I interact with others, they will be made better. I am healed, I am whole, and whenever I interact with others, they themselves are made better. Chanel.
I would say my imperfections is what makes me perfect. Learning from my flaws and learning from what the mistakes I've made in the past helps me to grow as an individual and a person.
Love it. Simone?
I love authenticity. So, what I live out and what I believe is that my authenticity empowers me and allows me to empower others to also be authentic.
Yeah. Raw?
I'm borrowing this one from a writer in the Bible, Paul, right? Forgetting those things which are behind, I
Yes.
reach forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling in Christ Jesus. That's my declaration.
Awesome. And I love it. So you see, for all you achievers looking on, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know how to say good things, I don't know what to say, we have on the spot, because this was certainly not planned, or rehearsed. We have on the spot shared how we ourselves, we think about the goodness that we want to draw and attract to our lives and to speak over our lives. And we just stood in demonstration of it today. So I have one more and it's this. It's based on this. My colleague Murdock said there are three types of people we want to be mindful of. He people, the today people, and the tomorrow people. First, in your life, whether personal or professional, difference between the yesterday people and the tomorrow people? Simone, you're muted.
Hi. Oh, Alina, you froze a bit. So on my end, I didn't
Oh,
hear
I'm
all
so
that you had to
sorry.
say.
That's
Yes.
okay. Allow me to repeat myself. I was
Oh,
saying that Mike Murdock spoke about the yesterday people, the today people, and the tomorrow people. So the question was, how do you distinguish between the yesterday people and the tomorrow people? How
Hmm.
do you distinguish between those two groups so you can make decisions?
so I will just rephrase what you said. Mike Murdock mentioned that there are three types of people: yesterday people, today people, and tomorrow people. And how do I distinguish among them, right? I will just share a quick story. When I was pursuing my MBA, there was a girl in my class, and we started to study together. But she shared with me, and to me, she was so heroic. She shared with me that she started in her organization as an administrative assistant. And she decided to do an administrative assistant course. And when she had finished with that, she decided, you know what, I think I want to go for my degree. But the thing is, and she said to me, she had some friends that she used to line with. And she encouraged them, hey, y'all, why we don't go and study? All this money we spending, all this time we spending, we getting older. And she said, you know, nobody else was interested. And she decided, you know what? This is what I want to do. And she decided to focus her energy on developing herself. So in that moment, she was making that decision. Those persons who I was with, you know, at that time it was good, but now that my aim or my goal is different and they are not aligned with it, they have become yesterday's people. The today people would be the persons who would be in alignment with you, with what you're doing. And the tomorrow people would be the persons with whom you have a vision that is the same. And I would say it's the same for me. When I see the alignment, I know, okay, this person was a yesterday person. I bless God for them because at the time when they were in my life, it was for a great purpose. But I know that where I know I want to go, and because, like Mike Murdock said in chapter 1, we have to be decisive. Well, then I know that I need to align with persons where our goals are the same. So that would be how I determine it to date people, and then persons who can understand that I'm going in this direction and would be partnering or encouraging or supporting, then they would be my tomorrow people. And that's how I decide.
Yes, great. It would appear that Alina is having some challenges. So I guess we can go right ahead. Chanel, you want to share how you distinguish between yesterday people, today, and tomorrow?
Sure. So basically is that we know that people are here for a season, a reason, and a purpose. And not everybody is welcome on every journey that you're about to do. So you get a vibe, you know. You walk in a place and you say, okay, this is something I see going to be for a while. You feel that vibration, you feel that toward that energy. And then there are people that you meet and you know that this relationship is meant for a lifetime. There are people that you talk to and you're like, yes, thank you for the information, but we're gonna just move along.
Yes,
And
yes.
so just taking that moment and just feeling off of, as if I believe is God's energy. God tells us He knows what we are about to do, and He knows who we can carry with us and who He won't, and He makes it clear in our eyes of what we should follow. So that's the way I define and distinguish between the two.
Yes, yes, it's great. It's great. I think for me, um, and Simone mentioned it, she spoke about alignment. And I think it's similar for me. There's a like-mindedness with persons that you know you're moving forward with. And with other persons, you find that there's a disconnect. And you feel that disconnect in different ways. You feel that disconnect. Sometimes it's an energy. You're around individuals and they're taking away from you, and it becomes tedious, the relationship, and the conversations become more challenging, and you have to do so much to communicate an idea that you're trying to bring across. And sometimes you feel like they just don't get it, or they just don't get you. I think those things are some of the indicators as well. I think, of course, core values, the value system. Some persons have a value system that brought you certain measure of success. But as you're moving on and you're adopting new core values that would take you into the future, they are not prepared to make that, particular leap or to make that change. One of the things I've discovered personally is that not everyone is interested in self growth and self development. It may sound so, but some persons would tell you, listen, you see me, this is how I is in local parlance. You understand? This is me. You see me, this is what you get. You understand? They're not interested in that kind of development. So those kind of things are often a sign that helps to distinguish. The other thing for me would be the language. You understand? By just listening to the language, sometimes you get a sense of whether somebody is um, destined to be part of the future, your future, or if somebody is destined to be part of the past, because your language has so much to do with where you are and in creating that environment. So when people are talking about problems rather than solutions, the problem focus rather than solution focus, or they're always complaining about some issue that they have or something that's going on in their life, and they're not making those positive steps forward, that language, gives a kind of clear sense, you know, of what, um what to help you distinguish. And of course, I know there would be persons out there who are listening in, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, and maybe it's a question that you have pondered as well, or you need to ponder as you move forward. Maybe you're at that point, you're at that crossroad where you are looking at making that decision to step into something different, step into a future. You could put in the comment section, all right? Anything that you want to, any comment you like to make on this particular area of those persons who are either yesterday, today, or future focused. I see we have a comment from Michelle. I too choose my declarations from the word. Excellent. And maybe you can also share later on, Michelle, some of those declarations that you make as well. All right. So, as we ponder on the book, there were quite a number of areas, again, that, Mike Murdock went into. And, as I shared earlier, in this book, he went pretty deep. He made a comment about intolerance. He said, intolerance of your present schedules you for your future. As long as you can adapt to the present, you really do not have a future. I want to throw this out for the other persons on the panel. What I don't know if you remember reading this particular comment, but what are your thoughts on this one? He was saying, therefore, from what I understand, and you can give your own understanding, that if you find yourself in a situation and you're a little too comfortable and you know that there needs to be change, maybe there's something you need to address. What are your thoughts on it?
You always have to be careful that you're not in a comfort zone, because in a comfort zone, you tend not to grow. You tend to just take the shape of whatever is there. But because we are created with greatness, we are created to do exciting things. I don't think a day goes by where, a thought doesn't cross somebody's mind about what if. And I think that what if is supposed to stroke our mind, our thoughts, our desires. Hey, I wonder. And even the word of God says that God has put these things within our heart, that why, that wonder, so that we don't want to become too comfortable. And it's one of the reasons why a mother bird will push her babies out of the nest
Yes.
because they're accustomed to her coming, bringing food. They have this nice, comfortable nest until that time when she knows, you know what, you have enough nurturing, you're more than able to go out there and grow and develop. So John Maxwell has a saying, jump and you'll grow your wings on the way down, or you learn how to fly.
Yes, yes, great, great. What about you, Chanel? What are your own thoughts on this area?
Well, as a mommy, I will say you don't get a chance to be in that comfort zone for too long because your mind always have to be tuning and thinking, even if it's not for yourself. 100% is for them, and it's to make sure that you kind of make sure you remember to think of yourself in the process of being, out of that comfort zone. You always want them to be on their tippy toes and to be their best and to shine. So to make sure that you are shining as an example for them. So that is a way that you can kind of work through that comfort zone purpose, because as mommy you get so accustomed doing the same schedule, the same rituals every single day, over and over. We wake up in the morning, breakfast time, it's saying lunchtime, the school time is this time, is that time, and everybody else's schedule comes into play before your own. So it's kind of, you're not in a comfort zone per se, but you are in a zone that's where you don't see any outlets to do more. So
Yes,
it's to make sure
yes,
that you kind of take that moment and say, there's more to be done. There's a book club to join.
yes,
there's, there's other little learning thing. Even if you take a 15 minutes or 5 minutes for yourself for that moment, to just have that self growth will help you out of that zone and that time and that space.
yes, yes. Really interesting points there. But as you were sharing, I was thinking that there are some individuals who may recognize that they're at a place or a stage that they're not comfortable with. They want to move out of it. But sometimes you can get accustomed to it. You get accustomed to the uncomfortable because it's what you know. So that moving forward, even though you feel it may be better, you don't have any certainty. So that there's fear. What would you say to encourage individuals to step out of that zone, and step into that future? Because with that future sometimes comes with some uncertainty. You're not too sure. So it's like maybe you may be in a relationship, for example, and you may tell yourself, you see me, I think all men bad or all women bad. Let me just hold on to this. So I will just make do with this thing. Whether there's abuse or whatever in it, I will just stick with it because this is what I know. What would you all say to encourage individuals to make that step to move forward into this future, to deal with that fear? Maybe you have an example or something that you've had to move through and move into and move away from. Any thoughts?
So I remember when I had my first workshop, Create Your Narrative. Oh my gosh, I was on this high because when you do something and you were called to do it, this was, you just flowed. It's not that everything was perfect about it, but there was something enriching about it, not just for you, but for the persons who receive it. So I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm glad I did this. And I told myself, I am going to do my workshop quarterly. But when it came around to planning the second quarter, for some reason I started to hesitate. I wasn't too sure why. But the hesitation turned into the next quarter coming and going. The following quarter, about to go, until I got arrested. Until I was driving up the highway one day, and my coach said, was a colleague at the time, and I was telling him, I really feel so passionate about this. And he said, really? I said, yes. And he said, I don't think you really believe that. So it made me jump. It made me jump. And I went home and I stopped and I said, actually on the drive going home, I said, but I do believe this. So I had
Yes.
to talk to myself. I do believe this. not just for me. It wasn't about Simone giving this workshop, but it was really about seeing the responses from the participants, seeing how the material affected them positively, seeing them, they come in first quiet and not too sure, and then everybody just dive into it. So I would say to persons, write down that vision, write down what you desire, and put some detail and real effort and thought into it, because that's how you know you really are passionate about this. And when you write it down, ask yourself, what is it that I want to achieve in terms of doing this? What is the outcome that I want? What do I want to see? And then read around it, read about it, talk to persons who are doing it. And if you can get an accountability partner, so that person who I was speaking to who gave me the buff, they became my accountability partner. I asked them, I said, would you, be my accountability partner so that I will keep on track with this?
Yes.
Because the hesitation or the fear is something that is real, it's realistic, but you can overcome it by coming
Yes.
out of your comfort zone.
Yes. And that point that was really good. We spoke earlier about the different people in our lives. So clearly you had a tomorrow thinker that was able to help you as well to treat
Yes.
with that fear. And it's something that I can relate as well. There's a very popular saying that the fear is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. So that
Yes.
sometimes we are looking at this thing much larger and much bigger than it really is. And I have found, like, even in my life, that cowering to fear or shirking, oh, there she's back. Cowering from fear, looking at fear and running away and not facing up to it can be a habit. And we can perfect it if we keep on practicing it, if we continue doing it. You understand? So at some point in time, we have to say, enough is enough. I am going to face this fear. All right? Trust in God, trust in all that has been deposited in you. Have your tomorrow thinkers on your side and
Yes.
take that step forward. And I found as you continue to do that, it gets to be part of you because you never totally eliminate it. And sometimes we will look at individuals who are out there making an impact and think that they're not fearful. It doesn't mean that they're not fearful, but they operate in spite of that fear. And that is something I think that we can practice. So I don't know if you were listening in there, Chanel, but we were talking about this whole idea of how do you, as you move forward into that future, you envisage this nice future you want to get into that is better than where you are, but you're still fearful. Is this something you've had to deal with?
Yes, if everybody knows me, I have a great fear of the cameras. So
Oh,
this
okay.
is the feats, and doing something outside the boxes have helped me grow truly, and it's have built me up as a person and as an individual. So taking a leap of faith and trusting in God in all that you do, because He knows what direction that you are ought to be in and where you are ought to go. So it's just having that faith and believing that everything is in a let go and let God. As my mother rightly say, let go and let God, and everything works out fine. So just have that trust.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I thought it was really important for us to underscore that you're going to deal with fear. You can't totally eliminate that fear, but you have to keep that future that you envisage in front of you. We spoke in other sessions about writing affirmations, creating your atmosphere, having those images of the things that you want to move forward to, and you go forward and you step forward and you jump forward and you make that leap. So certainly want to encourage individuals in that way. So we've reached about that time where we, would have to wrap it up. Time always flies when we're having fun. So I'd like to open the floor for any last comments, anything else that you feel from the chapter jumped out at you, and make those part of your final words. Maybe something you have to share about you're doing something that you are doing right now that you'd like other listeners listening in. It's part of what we do in book club conversations. We like to have our guests, share a little bit about what they're doing to encourage the viewers and those listening in to be a part of it. So you can put all of that into what you'd like to share. I don't know who would like to take it first.
So I will go. Mike Murdock said in this chapter, your past is over. Act like it, talk like it, live like it. And he also said, your best days are ahead of you. And when I give someone birthday greetings, I don't just like to focus on the today, happy birthday, have a great day. Yes. But I also like to add, when I greet them, something about that new chapter ahead, wishing them more love, more life, more health, because it's not just about the today. And my prayer, my hope, my declaration for persons listening is that you will begin to act like what you want to see and achieve in your life. You will talk like you believe it, and you will talk about it, and you will live it. You will put things in place so that you are living it, you are experiencing it. So, for example, if you see yourself as a cook, as a chef, you might be in your kitchen. Put on your apron, put on your hat. Whatever you see yourself as, believe it. Make it real to you. Act like it, live like it, talk like it, because you are an uncommon achiever.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that encouragement, Simone. And certainly, um, what's in the future? We know you're the curator of Create Your Narrative, and we're talking about the future. Anything in store in the future that you'd like those listening in to know about?
Yes, I spoke about it last night that, I want our Form 1s and Form 2s who are actually going into physical school and seeing persons they may have been in class with in Form 1, first time face to face. And we might think that, well, yes, they know this one or that one, but it could be a little scary
Yes.
because you're now going to see them face to face. So Create Your Own Narrative has tailored a program, a session just for our Form 1s and Form 2s to help them know that they've got it and they are ready to go out there and create their own narrative when school opens. So that will be in the month of August. We're still finalizing the date, so you can stay tuned for that.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll stay tuned to find out more about that. Chanel, any closing words?
For me, it's just don't live in the past. We have a bright future ahead of us. So envision what we truly want and what we truly desire, and
Yeah.
trust in God and have faith, and everything will work out just fine.
Excellent. Anything that you'd like to share with us about any project that you're working on, or anything that you'd like to share about your future for our guests?
I am in the moment where I'm just waiting for all to come, and as you know, take it with stride. So anything is there out there, God knows best. Because in
Yes.
my future, I'm seeing a baby coming.
Oh,
So
oh.
I'll stay tuned for that one.
Hey!
Excellent, excellent.
Lovely.
Now that's a future there, Simone, right?
Hey!
what what I like to say just in closing, actually I'd want to read it because I I've been looking at it over and over again, and the way in which Mike Murdock phrased it in the book I think is really powerful. And this is what he said. I'll read it for you, right? In this chapter he said, and he said, this is speaking to us, so it's quite prophetic, quite affirmative. He said, move away from yesterday. Move away from yesterday. You have exhausted its benefits. Refuse to waste your energy on repairing it. Rather, rebuild by focusing on your future. Certainly, yesterday can be a reservoir of wisdom and information, But you're not forfeiting loyalty. You are not forgetting the precious lives God used mightily for your continued survival and success. However, you're refusing to abort your future joys and victories by replaying the memories of yesterday's painful experiences. Powerful. And what came to me was that I was thinking about all that's happening in the world, all that we're going through now. And I said, COVID is a defining moment. And this experience, this whole pandemic is drawing a line across time. And this line is a line that we have to step over. It applies to all of us. It's a point of decision, a point of pivoting for us as individuals, as couples, as families, as organizations, businesses, nations, in fact, the entire planet. Each of us has to determine what COVID is being used. COVID is being used right now. COVID is being used to separate us from some things. My hope and my prayer and encouragement for myself and for all of us here is that after COVID, shall God tarry, we shall not be in yesterday, because you may not get another opportunity to pivot or to change or to step into that future. So make a decision to totally abandon your memories and empty your energy into the palace of your future. So with that, I say thank you very much. It's been great, and look forward to joining us when we come back again tomorrow to deal with chapter 10. Have a pleasant night and all the best, and keep envisaging that future and making that future work for you today. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Night, night.